Most people think they'd recognise a secure relationship if they were in one. They wouldn't. Because secure doesn't feel like fireworks. It doesn't feel like the high of being chosen, or the relief of finally being picked after months of uncertainty. It doesn't feel like the rush of reconciliation after a fight that nearly ended things. If your only reference point for love is intensity, the highs, the anxiety, the chase, the relief, then secure can feel like something is missing, boring even, flat. That reaction isn't a sign the relationship is wrong. It's a sign your wiring was calibrated by something else first. This is the final video in our attachment styles series, and it's the one that ties everything together, because once you know what secure actually feels like, you'll understand exactly what you've been missing, or exactly what you've been mistaking for love instead. If you grew up with inconsistency, a parent who was warm one day and distant the next, love that had to be earned through performance or vigilance, your nervous system learned to associate love with effort, with monitoring, with the work of keeping someone close. Secure relationships don't ask for that work. There's no chase because nobody's pulling away. There's no anxiety because nothing is being withheld. There's no need to perform because nothing is conditional. For a lot of people, that absence of tension doesn't register as safety. It registers as absence, full stop. The brain that was trained to read love through vigilance has nothing to monitor and interprets that as nothing happening at all. This is why some people sabotage secure relationships without realising it. They'll describe a stable, attentive partner as too nice, not exciting enough, or the one that does the most damage. I just don't feel that spark. The spark they're missing is often anxiety, cortisol and adrenaline, mistaken for chemistry. There's a name for this in the research. Some people develop what's effectively an addiction to intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes slot machines compelling. Unpredictable reward is more gripping to the brain than reliable reward. A partner who is warm 9 times out of 10 and cold once produces more obsessive attachment than a partner who's simply warm every time. Not because the inconsistent partner is better, because the brain's reward system fires harder for unpredictability. Secure attachment isn't the absence of feeling, it's the absence of fear underneath the feeling. Let's get concrete, because vague description is exactly how this gets confused with boredom. You don't rehearse conversations before having them. If something's bothering you, you say it close to when it happens, in something close to plain language. You're not drafting the perfect phrasing in your head 3 days in advance because you're worried about how it'll land. Distance doesn't feel like danger. Your partner can have a quiet weekend, a bad mood, a few hours where they're just not that talkative. And you don't spiral into wondering what you did wrong. Their internal weather is allowed to exist without it being a referendum on the relationship. Conflict resolves and stays resolved. You can have a hard conversation, reach some kind of landing point, and then actually let it go. You're not relitigating it 3 days later because some part of you doesn't trust that it's actually over. You can be fully yourself without calculating the cost. Tired, irritable, unfunny, having an off day. You don't perform a better version of yourself to keep the relationship secure. The relationship was never contingent on the performance. Reassurance is occasional, not constant. You might want it sometimes, everyone does. But you're not checking read receipts, rereading old messages for tone, or needing daily proof that things are fine. The baseline assumption is that things are fine until you're told otherwise. You can enjoy time apart without it meaning anything. A weekend with friends, a work trip, a few days of less contact than usual. None of it gets interpreted as distance, withdrawal, or a warning sign. Separateness and closeness aren't in competition. Apologies are simple, not strategic. When you're wrong, you say so without it becoming a negotiation about who's more wrong, or a performance of how sorry you are. The apology exists to repair things, not to win back ground. None of this is dramatic. That's the point. Secure attachment is mostly defined by what's absent, the absence of low-grade dread that something is always one mistake away from collapsing. Here's a way to check your own baseline. Think about the last relationship, romantic, close friendship, doesn't matter, where things were going genuinely well. No red flags, no real conflict, no signs of trouble. What did you feel? If the honest answer is something close to calm, your wiring is probably leaning secure, or you've done real work to get there. If the honest answer is something closer to waiting for it to go wrong, a kind of background hum of "this is too good, when does it fall apart?" That's not paranoia. That's a nervous system that's been trained, somewhere along the way, to treat calm as the lull before the storm rather than as the actual baseline. This shows up in specific behaviours. Picking small fights when things feel too settled, as if testing whether the foundation holds. Pulling away slightly when someone gets too consistent, almost as a preemptive defence. Feeling a strange discomfort, sometimes even suspicion, toward people who are simply kind and steady, because steady doesn't match what your brain learned to expect. Some people even find themselves more drawn to the version of a partner who's slightly unavailable than the version who's fully present, chasing the contrast rather than the connection. This is the wiring talking, not your judgment. Your judgment might be telling you this person is good for you. Your wiring is telling you something quieter and older. This doesn't match the pattern, so it can't be trusted yet. This matters, so don't skim past it. Secure attachment isn't something you either have or don't have, fixed at birth. It's closer to a skill set built through repeated experience, and it's learnable in adulthood. This is what the research calls earned security. 4 components specifically: emotional regulation, the capacity to feel something difficult, jealousy, hurt, fear of abandonment, without immediately needing to act on it, feeling the spike and letting it pass before responding, rather than reacting from inside the spike. This is mostly a physiological skill before it's a psychological one. Noticing the body's activation and giving it time to settle before speaking or texting. Direct communication. Saying what's actually true for you in something close to real time, instead of hinting, testing, withdrawing, or waiting for the other person to guess. This is often the hardest one to build, because for many people, directness was punished or ignored growing up. So, indirect strategies became the safer default. Indirectness feels safer in the moment. It's far more costly over time because nobody can respond to a need they were never told about. Tolerance for ambiguity. Sitting with not knowing exactly where things stand for a few hours or a few days without resolving the discomfort through reassurance-seeking, checking or controlling behaviour. Trusting that uncertainty isn't automatically a crisis. Self-worth that isn't outsourced. This is the quiet engine underneath the other 3. If your sense of being okay depends entirely on what the other person is doing right now, every one of their moods becomes information you have to manage. Secure people aren't immune to caring what their partner thinks, but their baseline sense of being fine doesn't rise and fall with someone else's mood in real time. None of these are personality traits you're stuck with. They're closer to a fitness. They atrophy without use and build with practice, the same way any other regulation skill does. If you've listened to all of this and recognised yourself as more anxious, avoidant, or fearful avoidant than secure, that's not a verdict. It's just where the wiring currently sits, based on what it had to adapt to. The good news is that none of those skills are gate-kept. Anyone can build them. Usually through some combination of 3 things: working with a therapist who understands attachment, choosing relationships with genuinely secure people who model a different baseline, and the slower but real path, consciously practicing the behaviours before they feel natural. In practice, that looks like small, repeatable moments, saying the direct thing even when it's uncomfortable, instead of hinting and hoping it gets picked up. Sitting with the silence for an hour before reaching for reassurance, instead of needing it resolved immediately. Noticing the urge to test or withdraw, and choosing not to act on it, just once, just to see what happens. It's slow. It's also genuinely possible, and it's the single highest leverage change you can make for every relationship that follows. So now you know what each attachment style looks like on its own, and what secure actually feels like underneath all of it. But almost nobody dates in a vacuum. Your attachment style doesn't operate alone. It operates in collision with someone else's, and some collisions are far more combustible than others. There's one pairing in particular that shows up more than any other, that creates more confusion, more pain, and more genuinely addictive highs and lows than almost any other combination: anxious and avoidant. Next time, we're breaking down exactly why anxious and avoidant people keep choosing each other, and why, once you understand the mechanics, it stops feeling like bad luck and starts looking like a pattern you can actually see coming.